Hello guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to our YouTube session and if I am audible, let me know. Good morning everybody. Hanji, good morning everybody. If I am audible, let me know. Hanji, जल्दी से बता दीजिए whether I am audible or not. Okay, yes, thank you so much. Right, so let's begin our session for today, right? As you have got already know about this, that today's session was around 11, right? It was premiered to be at 11, right? And let's start our session. Now, the first news that we have is very important and a very tragic incident that has happened when we talk about coming from directly Tamil Nadu. It is the ammonia leak from the pipeline triggers scare at night, 52 admitted to hospital in Chennai. Now the leak has come from Coromandel International Limited. So first of all, we need to be aware of the company that has basically through which we have seen this gas, we can say leakage of ammonia, right? Now let's try to understand this whole issue. I will tell you that what has happened, what has been the required permissible limit that shall be there of ammonia, and what is the limit that has been surpassed in this ammonia leak. We will already also discuss this aspect. Also along with it, we will discuss what has happened in context of this, how NGT has interfered and what are the further recommendations and the guidelines, right? So let's try to understand this whole situation and we will discuss something about NGT as well, so that you guys have a very holistic approach and a idea related to the topic of ammonia leak and NGT, right? अगर आप इसका फोर्थ पेज ओपन करोगे तो एनजीटी ने सुओ मोटो एक्शन लिया है अगेंस्ट दिस अमोनिया लीक. So let's try to reconcile these two articles and let's build a narrative on this particular topic. Now, first of all, one thing we need to understand is when we talk about ammonia, right? So leak has happened, right? Now you need to know the permissible limit. क्या permissible limit क्या है? That could be directly asked in the prelims as well, right? So the permissible limit that is shall be there of ammonia is what we call it as 400 microgram per meter cube. This is the permissible limit that is let's say allowed in the case of ammonia. But when we see in the case of gas leak that has happened in case of Coromandel, एक्चुअली में जो नंबर्स हैं बड़े स्टैगरिंग है. क्यों? क्योंकि यहां पे जो लीकेज आई है इट हैज बीन अराउंड 2090, almost 2100 microgram per meter cube. That is why so many people have been admitted to the hospitals, right? अभी ये incidents हुआ है, इससे पहले we had seen a certain incidents that had occurred on the coast of Chennai that was related to oil spill in Chennai. But this incident is also a very major and a very tragic one where we have seen the permissible limits have exceeded the required amount, that is 400 microgram to let's say 2090 when we talk about microgram per meter cube. Now let's try to understand this whole scenario and see what NGT has done. Now NGT has taken a suo moto action, and I am talking about the principal bench of NGT. It has taken the suo moto action. Now one thing you need to understand is that there is one principal bench when we talk about NGT and there are 4 regional bench. So let me try to tell you about a little bit about NGT and its functioning as well, right? So let's try to understand. अमोनिया था, हमारी लीक हुई है, लिमिट इतनी रिक्वायर्ड थी, इतनी हुई है, राइट? इससे ज्यादा हुई है जिसकी वजह से काफी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट हुई हैं, and NGT has taken a suo moto action that to the principal bench and they have formed a committee that will give its report to the southern bench of the NGT. Now let's try to cover the NGT in a greater detail so that you guys have a complete idea about this whole topic. Now when I talk about NGT, first of all, you have to understand that it was formed by NGT Act 2010. First of all, so this is one of the most basic thing that we need to understand, that it was formed through NGT Act 2010. Second important thing that we need to know about NGT is that NGT has, or what's the composition of NGT, right? So composition में हमारे पास chairperson है, and he shall be a retired judge of Supreme Court, right? Second one are the judicial members, and they shall be the retired judge of High Court. And finally we have the expert members. Now when I talk about expert members, these are those persons who must have a certain professional qualification and 15 years of experience in the field of environment and environmental conservation, right? So they need to be a person that has a 15 years of experience in the field of environmental conservation. So these are the three important things that we need to know about NGT कि इसकी composition क्या है. Now let's try to understand that when we talk about NGT, it has one principal bench. I can write it down. One principal bench of NGT is in New Delhi, and there are four regional bench. There are four regional bench. What are those four regional bench? Let's try to see. One is in Pune, one is in Bhopal, one is in Kolkata, and one is in Chennai. तो ये हमारे पास क्या है, चार रीजनल बेंच है. Now one thing you need to understand is, even though that there is a principal bench and there are certain regional bench, it doesn't mean that the principal bench has an overriding power. No, the jurisdiction when we talk about NGT is area based and let's say particular geographic zone wise, right? So if we talk about principal bench New Delhi, so it is catering to the northern side. If I talk about the Chennai, then it is catering to the southern bench. So basically what we trying to say over here is कि यहाँ पे ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि कोई superior है, हाँ सबकी अपनी अपनी क्या है, equal jurisdiction है जब हम बात करते हैं NGT को लेके. So these are the 2 points that we have to remember about NGT. First of all, formed through NGT Act 2010 to specialize in the cases related to environmental disputes so that it can ease the burden on the judiciary. Second important thing is that it has a chairperson, judicial members and expert members, and it has a principal bench, New Delhi, and regional bench. Now let's try to understand what is the mandate of NGT. Second important thing about NGT is what is the mandate of NGT. Now when I talk about the mandate of NGT, it covers 7 acts under it. अगर इन 7 एक्ट्स के अंदर कोई वायलेशन होता है तो डायरेक्ट यहां पे कौन इंटरफेयर कर सकता है, एनजीटी इंटरफेयर कर सकता है. जैसे कि व्हाट वी हैव सीन इन द केस ऑफ अमोनिया लीक, दैट एनजीटी हैज डायरेक्टली let's say intervened and taken a suo moto action. Now first of all let's try to understand the acts, right? पहला है Water Prevention and Pollution Act 1974. Next we have is Water Cess Act 1977. Then we have the Air Pollution Act 1981, Prevention and Control, right? Then we have Forest Conservation Act 1980, right? Now the next act we have is Biological Diversity Act 2002, along with it Environment Protection Act 1986 and Public Liability Insurance Act 1991. So these are the 7 acts that are a part of NGT, right? And one thing you have to understand is that Supreme Court can also increase the mandate and the jurisdiction of NGT, as it had done in the case in 2014, where Supreme Court increased the mandate of NGT and gave the powers like hearing the cases related to solid and liquid waste management. So they were also included under the mandate of what? They were included under the mandate of NGT, and it was done by the Supreme Court. So these are certain aspects that we need to remember, we need to understand. Now you can be very much able to apprehend the situation that has happened in the case of ammonia leak. So you must be knowing that it had flouted the environment rules, right? Environment Protection Act के अंदर NGT ने क्या किया है, उसको intervene करा है, and they have closed down the operations of Coromandel India Coast. और उसके साथ साथ you need to understand that one thing is very important, that when we talk about NGT, it is working on the principles of natural justice. Very important. It works on the principles of natural justice, where they give equal and legal right. If we talk about that, the opposite party, that is the accused party, has a proper, let's say, representation and they are properly heard. That is the principle of natural justice. I hope this aspect is clear to everybody and you would be able to do a lot of things correct now in context of NGT, right? It is a very important part of our UPSC preparation, prelims as well as mains, and you can get any year any question. That is what we call upon NGT, right? अब एक चीज याद रखना, NGT से पहले ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे पास कोई एक्ट नहीं था. We didn't have any dedicated act, let's say, related to disposal of environmental cases. We had certain acts that were related to the disposal of environmental cases, but they were not backed by any act. So that is why NGT Act 2010 was created. I hope this point is clear to everybody. If it is clear, let's move to the other news, right? So very easy and very simple. मैं आपको एक बार न्यूज भी दिखा देता हूं. ये देखिए, NGT court takes suo moto cognizance of Tamil Nadu gas leak. The statutory body asked State Pollution Control Board to file a report on the incident that took place at a fertilizer manufacturing unit in Ennore on Tuesday. case listed for hearing on January 2nd. So this is the important news that I was talking to, that NGT has taken suo motu cognizance of the Tamil Nadu gas leak. I hope now the aspect is clear to everybody and the proper propositions are covered and connotations are covered when I talk about this topic, right? Okay, now let's try to understand the editorials. Now this editorial is not that much difficult. The editorials that we're going to discuss today, one is related to growth charts, WHO standards versus India crafted, and second thing is quest for happiness in the Viksit Bharat Odyssey, right? So first try to understand this act, that is growth charts. Now one thing you have to understand is, let me tell you a little bit in detail, right? Now there are certain health standards. Let's assume I'm talking about the editorial related to WHO, right? So there are certain health standards that have been set up as a limit by WHO. WHO ने एक लिमिट बना दी है कि ये हेल्थ स्टैंडर्ड्स होने चाहिए. These are the standards that had to be meet, and if you are not able to meet the standards, then you are basically having certain problems related to health. Now one of the things that you have to understand is, what we have seen in context of India is that there are a lot of health related issues. I'm not talking about the let's say the cases, the normal cases that we have related to communicable or non-communicable. No, I am taking the inputs related to those like child stunting, child wasting, anemic, right? So these are the certain topics that I want to hit towards in this article that is related to the health standards that has been taken by WHO. Now let's try to understand and you will have a better idea, and these type of questions maybe you can use in your reference in your mains examination, right? So mains के लिए और आपके interview के लिए बड़े important है. Now one of the things you have to understand is WHO earlier used to set standards before 1997, right? So here let's try to decode before 1997 and now after 1997. Now one of the thing we have to understand is that WHO क्या करता था, it used to take a certain study, reference study in the case of USA only, and they used to use that model of USA and used to apply it to all the countries of the world, and they used to set up a particular health standards. But one thing we have to understand is each country is different, each climatic zone is different, and each person's and manual work and let's say a lot of factors play a very important role. So what they used to do is they used to do the survey and a study related to US, and if they had a particular criteria that this shall be the amount of calorie intake that shall be undertaken, this shall be the required weight that shall be there of a baby, right? So these type of things I'm talking about, kitna food intake hona chahiye, kitni calorie intake honi chahiye, right? So these were the standards that they used to take it from USA and they used to apply it to the rest of the world. But after that they undertook a certain change and now they diversified their options. Now instead of just focusing solely on US, they had a multi-center growth reference study, MGRS, right? So we can talk about MGRS. That study was concentrated around 6 countries. What were those 6 countries? India, Ghana, Brazil, ठीक है, कोई कंट्री मिस हो जाए तो बुरा मत मानना, ओमान एंड यूएसए, राइट? एक और थी शायद नॉर्वे थी. इन 6 कंट्रीज को लेकर उन्होंने स्टडी करी एंड दीज स्टैंडर्ड्स वर देन अप्लाइड टू द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. बट वन थिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इन दिस कंटेक्स्ट इज दैट अगर हम एक स्टडी पहले यूएसए बेस्ड भी थी, मान लीजिए, नाउ इट इज बेस्ड ऑन 6 कंट्रीज एज वेल, राइट? सो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑन अ मीन बेसिस दैट दे हैव ट्राइड टू इवॉल्व अ हेल्थ स्टैंडर्ड्स. बट कैन दैट मीन स्टैंडर्ड्स बी concentrated and be applied practically to the rest of the world? Let's see. If you have a certain health standard, let's say in USA, कि आपने एक स्टैंडर्ड बना दिया और एक MGRS के थ्रू बना दिया कि इतना कैलोरी इनटेक होना चाहिए फॉर अ 4-year-old baby or a 5-year-old baby, but 4-year child or 5-year-old child, but that could have a serious impact on a baby. Let's say यहाँ पे अगर आप उनको एक्स्ट्रा खिला रहे हो सकता है कितनी कैलोरी इनटेक इंडिया के बच्चे को ना हो. You do not require that much calories to be given to a children, let's say child born in India, and as a result, because of the criteria that you have set up in WHO, considering the case of different countries like Norway, USA, right? So as a result, what is happening is it might lead to certain conditions in India like obesity. ये प्रॉब्लम इंडिया में हो सकती है कि तुमने हेल्थ स्टैंडर्ड हो गया इतनी कैलोरी देनी चाहिए, तुमने यहाँ पे ही बच्चे को देना शुरू कर दिया, बट दैट कैन क्रिएट अ लॉट ऑफ इंपैक्ट ऑन द हेल्थ ऑफ द child as well. So this is the question that they are asking, that instead of going for the WHO crafted health requirements, WHO required let's say standards, shall India go for, rather than WHO, shall India focused on Indian standards only? Can't we formulate a standard that shall be applicable to India, and then we see that how we go about it, meeting those essential nutrients, and then only we would be able to do something better in the health sector. So this is a question that have been raised by this article related to WHO, that is saying growth charts, WHO standards versus India crafted. I hope you are able to understand it, the gist of this article, right? Okay. Now the next article is very simple. The question over here that they have tried to put in India's context is quest for happiness in the Viksit Bharat Odyssey. Now I think everybody knows that we have set up a goal that by 2047 we would be a developed country, right? This is the target that we have set up, Viksit Bharat, developed country by 2047. Now let me ask you one question. Those who are in the comment box, please generally quickly write in the comment box that if we say that we are a developed country by 2047, that means that we are happy too as well, कि हमारे देश में खुशी भी है, happiness भी है, क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं? Or can I say developed countries are happy countries? Or can we say, let me put it this way, rich or wealthy nations are happy countries? Are happy countries. Can I say like this? Hanji, in the comment box, quickly write it down. What do you think about it? I have a lot of students, those who are watching the lecture. I think they could be more considerate and write in the comment box what are their views related to this topic. Can I say developed countries are the happy countries, or can I say rich or wealthy nations are the happy countries or happy nations? No, you cannot say that. This is the important point, and this has been evident from various reports that have come over the period of time, where they have said that it doesn't mean when you are rich, you are wealthy, you are developed, that means you are happy too as well. And it has been proven by various reports. Let's try to see which are those reports. Like, now India is the 5th largest economy of the world. By 2030, India is going to become the 3rd largest. That means your country is growing, your country is on the path of development. So whether India shall be happy too as well. Now when we look towards these indicators, when we look at our happiness report of the world, happiness report 2023, then we see India is ranked 126 out of 137 countries, despite being the 5th largest economy. The curious question would be whether India will have a better rank in the happiness index in the years to come or not. Now this is the part that we have to understand, that despite being the 5th largest economy, so we are a big nation, we are a big growing nation, we are on the path of development, but whether we are happy, the answer is no, according to the World Happiness Report. Now when I talk about the happiness metrics, this includes how they calculate this happiness. There are 6 indicators that are included, like healthy life expectancy at birth, generosity, social support, freedom to make life choices, and perception of corruption. Now these are the points that you have to understand and make note of it, because this is a direct question of prelims, that World Happiness Report में कौन-कौन से indicators हैं जो हम target करते हैं, जिसके accordingly हम check कर रहे हैं whether countries are happy or not. I am repeating this 6: healthy life expectancy at birth, generosity कितनी है, social support कितना है, freedom to make life choices कितना है, perception of corruption कितना है. Now this is the point that we have to understand. So this brings us to our question. According to this World Happiness Report, which are those, if we talk about countries that are the most happy, so the answer is always related to those Scandinavian countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Netherlands. These are the countries that are making the top of the list when I talk about the World Happiness Report. The second thing you have to understand in this context is that their development hasn't come at the cost of social disruption, but they have developed through the models that has been able to create a society that is generous, that is caring, that takes care of each other, that is built on good social health of the society. So this is the point that we have to understand, that the happiness induced development model for India is highly required, as we are significantly governed by social relationships and cultural mandates. Now this is the point that we have to understand, because in our country right now the model of the development that we have been focusing is mainly focused on the इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट. इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट चल रही है. अगर हम सोशल डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, हैप्पीनेस इंड्यूस्ड डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, सो वी आर लैकिंग behind that as well, right? So this is the point that we have to understand. Now similarly you can read more about the indicators that are trying to indicate that how much countries are happy or not, then you can go through the World Bank's environmentally sustainable development decision. They have created a green index that measures nations' wealth by incorporating three components: produced assets, natural resources, and human resources. Then international human suffering index is there, that is measuring the countries on different parameters of human suffering. Then we have the global innovation index, rule of law index, poverty index, corruption index, and the gender equality index, world press freedom index. That will be pretty significant to give the effect to the idea of happy India. Revisiting the pursuit of developed India as a happy India will be pivotal in the Viksit Bharat journey. So they have given you a things that you have to understand, that आपके देश में प्रेस को फ्रीडम है, कि आपके देश में करप्शन कितनी है, how much is the rule of law that is being enforced. These are the certain parameters that decide whether a country is happy or not. And I'm telling you, this article is very important and very simple as well. I think you have been able to understand what is the model of development India is right now having, what is the goal of India, and what shall be the future path towards India if India is looking towards achieving the happiness of the people and of its citizens. I hope this point is clear to everybody, right? So shall we move to the next part? चलो एक बार ये फटाफट देख लेते हैं. स्लिम मिशन है जापान का, जो कि सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग कर रहा है, लाइक आफ्टर द इंडियाज मिशन, राइट? Russia had tried, but Russia's mission failed. Now it's turn of India, Japan. Japan's mission name is SLIM, that is Smart Lander for Investigating Moon. It entered lunar orbit on December 25. It is aiming for a moon landing on January 19, potentially making it the 5th country that would be trying to soft land a craft on the moon. Now, one of the important things you have to understand is how it is different from our Chandrayaan mission, right? Now, it is 590 kg at launch, so it is significantly lighter and emphasizing fuel efficiency and carrying fewer instruments, right? Now, Slim's journey to the moon utilized a fuel thrifty route. ठीक है, यहाँ पे हमें पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. So set to land near the Shioli crater. Now this is important. It will be landing near the Shioli crater. It aims for an unprecedented precision, landing within 100 meters, aided by data from JAXA Selene orbiter and deploying small rovers for surface analysis. Slim का जो success and failure है, it will inform Japan's collaboration with India on the UPSC mission, which will explore the moon South Pole region and the require precise landing technologies. Now this is the important aspect that we have to understand, that in the upcoming time there could be a UPSC mission that is related to lunar observation only, and one of the things you have to understand, it will be a joint mission of India and Japan. Japan will give the nod if their SLIM mission is a success, but whether India will do that, it is to be seen in the upcoming future. But SLIM's mission success, that is of Japan, will further give the pathway whether we would be having the UPSC or the Chandrayaan 4 mission or not. I hope this point is clear to everybody. याद रख लेना स्लिम मिशन किसका है. चलिए, अब जैसे भारत, राहुल गांधी जी अपनी भारत न्याय यात्रा स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं मणिपुर से लेके मुंबई तक, राइट? Now this is nothing important over here, so I'm going to go to the next page, right? Now this is the important aspect. Now there are certain figures that you need to know when you are studying economics. There are certain terminologies, there are certain methods, and there are certain important trends that you need to understand. That when we talk about banking sector, right, that is the most stressed sector that we have of public sector, very important and crucial one as well. So there are certain indicators that are being checked by the regulating agencies like the RBI. Now in its recent report, Trend and Progress of Banking in India. So you have to remember that it is a report that has been released by whom? RBI. Now they have talked about two aspects. One is related to gross non-performing assets, and second one is related to what? Capital रिस्क टू रिस्क वेटेड एसेट्स रेशियो. इसे कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी रेशियो भी बोल देते हैं, राइट? इसे CRAR भी बोल देते हैं, राइट? इसकी शॉर्ट फॉर्म है CRAR, कैपिटल टू रिस्क एसेट वेटेड रेशियो. नाउ वन ऑफ द थिंग यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज, जब हम कैपिटल रिस्क टू एसेट टू वेटेड रेशियो की बात करते हैं ऑफ शेड्यूल्ड कमर्शियल बैंक्स, इट इज नाउ वेरी गुड. इट इज अराउंड 16.8%, राइट? So by end of September 2023, it was 16.8%. Now if I talk about what we have talked about gross non-performing assets, they have been reducing over the years, and we have seen the reduction that is almost 45% reduction that we are witnessing in gross non-performing assets. Now if we look at the quarter data, then it is at a decadal low at the end of March 2023, that came out to be 3.9%. Now when we see September 2023, it has come to 3.2%, and the 45% reduction that has come in this gross non-performing assets, they have come from recoveries and upgradation that has basically made sure that the balance sheets of the banks are now looking nice. There are lesser liabilities and more assets that are being created at the banks, right? So ये एक एस्पेक्ट है जो हमें समझना चाहिए. एंड कंबाइंड बैलेंस शीट अगर आप अर्बन कमर्शियल बैंक्स की देखिए तो वो 2.3% से इंप्रूव कर चुकी है, कैपिटल बफर इंप्रूव हो चुका है, राइट. सो दीज आर सर्टेन इंडिकेटर्स दैट इंडिकेट द हेल्थ ऑफ द बैंक एंड द हेल्थ ऑफ द इकोनॉमी एज वेल, एंड दे आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट. नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. अब ये कुछ न्यूज है, बस आपको डेटा पता होना चाहिए. पी नोट्स के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ी है, ये पता होना चाहिए. एफपीआई डेट इनफ्लोज बढ़ सकते हैं अहेड ऑफ इंक्लूजन ऑफ बॉन्ड्स. अगर बॉन्ड्स ग्लोबल इंडिसेस में इंक्लूड हो जाते हैं, कि हमारी बॉन्ड मार्केट अगर ग्रो करती है तो उससे एफपीआई डेट इनफ्लो बढ़ जाएगा. एंड आई थिंक वी आर डन विद टुडेज एनालिसिस, राइट. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट यू कैन आस्क मी. हाँ जी, कोई डाउट है तो पूछ सकते हो. वी आर डन विद टुडेज एनालिसिस. यार ऐसा कोई चॉइस नहीं है, ये तो हमारा डिपेंड करता है ना, कि हम रिपब्लिक डे के अंदर थोड़े अच्छे रिलेशन किसी के साथ चाहते हैं इंप्रूव करने के लिए, तो हमने बुला लिया होगा. जैसे कि अभी नाउ देयर हैज बीन न्यूज दैट रशिया हैज कॉल्ड ऑन आवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी नेक्स्ट ईयर, राइट, कि विजिट करें एंड दे नीड टू साइन सर्टेन ट्रेड डील्स और मे बी दे नीड टू सीक सर्टेन रशिया यूक्रेन थिंग, राइट, सोल्यूशन. सो दैट कुड बी अ थिंग एज वेल, राइट. सो ऐसा कोई अगर हम बात करें कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्राइटेरिया तो नहीं है. जियोपॉलिटिकल रिलेशंस बड़े मैटर करते हैं, right. So I hope this point is clear to everybody, and we are done with our today's analysis. I hope you were able to understand it, right. Now we will be seeing each other tomorrow same time, not 11 but 9 a.m. till then take care, bye bye, right. कल का सेशन 9 बजे ही होगा और हम मिलेंगे. Till then take care, bye bye.